Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia, actually here with Erica L. Ayala. We in the same room, y'all. We in the same room. We're at our HQ studios in Fort Lauderdale, and we're working on something really special, you guys. Like, it's been an amazing day, right, Erica? We can't tell you yet.
Not yet, not quite yet.
Yeah, we can't tell you.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Definitely fun. I can't wait. And you want to make sure that you're locked in on all levels because you want to know what's going on, right? So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things because we will be telling you soon and very soon while we're here and what we're cooking up. But if you're not locked in, you won't know. So lock in. And we also want to thank, because we tell people to lock in, but we want to thank all the people who are locked in. So thank you so much. Listen, we read the comments. Y'all be cracking us up. Hilarious. And of course, as always, we want you to put more comments in there because we want to hear what you have to say. And especially about this first thing that we're going to talk about today. You know, we have a big announcement coming up, but the Phoenix Mercury had a big announcement. Yeah, they announced that they bought out. Okay, bought out. This is not something we see very often. 6-time All-Star and 2-time champion DeWanna Bonner. It just like hit everybody was just kind of like, yo, where did this even come from? Yeah, and I know that Bonner's agent, Mike Cound, I believe, is her agent's name, said many teams in the league wouldn't consider this, but this is a special circumstance, and Phoenix is a very player-friendly organization. She's really appreciative of them. And they did this because DeWanna is pretty much, I mean, she said it all, but to say it, basically, that she's in her last season. And bought her out so she would have an opportunity to possibly play in the playoffs and also win a championship with another team. Erica, when you see this and kind of like what they did, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, I think it goes back to what the agent is saying, right? This is not necessarily something that you would see everyone do. It's obviously, there's no benefit to the Phoenix Mercury in the immediate, intermediate, or future for doing this by effectively letting DeWanna Bonner out of her contract and so that she can seek to sign somewhere else. So it's a little bit odd. It's, it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, but like, what's the end game here, especially for Phoenix? For DeWanna, it's, I think looking at it from the DB side of things, still a little bit like, whoa, okay, why is this happening at this particular point in time? I do think that in this season, there's that break. So because of the FIBA Women's World Cup, which is going to be in Berlin, so she'll have some time to figure out what is going to be the landing spot. But it was only a couple of seasons that we saw this in a much different circumstances, but DeWanna Bonner leaving a team and then she ends up going back to Phoenix. And so I think for me, the only other question is, do I still think that there is value? And if I were a GM, would I be picking up the phone to make some calls for a player like DeWanna Bonner? Yes. And since we're so close, we almost have a complete picture of the playoff standings. We know all but one team, right? That's in the postseason officially, mathematically. Now you have this multiple All-Star, a WNBA champion, that's available. What teams have the room? What teams could use the skill set? But then also, are any of those teams also willing to make this move? Considering it's definitely going to impact rotation, thinking about team chemistry, all of those things. And that's not to say that no one will do it. It's just that I think those are the conversations, right, that also DB has to have. What is she looking for? Because I think there's at least one team that's been tossed around that for me is probably a no-go, a no-fly zone. And that would be, I'm thinking DeWanna Bonner's probably not back to Indiana.
Well, I was just going to say the Fever are probably on that no list. I would say, for a number of reasons, right? And they're understandable. But when you talk about who are willing, I think that is what the key is for me, right? At this point in the season, you've established chemistry, and we're going to be talking about, teams that are clicking right at the right times. Like, do you want to add someone at this point? Not only are we looking at things like cap space and all of that, like, do we even have a spot, right?
Right.
That's something that obviously you need. But on top of that, the first team that I wanted to talk about actually makes me think about that is like, do we even want to kind of disrupt what we have going on? And that would be the Las Vegas Aces. Isabel Gonzalez, a writer on CBSSports.com, she outlined some teams that could be the right fit. And the Aces were on there. And the thing that I'm thinking of is, okay, yes, Melissa Smith, she suffered an injury on Sunday. We don't really know the status of that injury right now, but she was integral to that team. But also that team is doing really well, and that team has great chemistry. Would DeWanna help the depth? I'm sure that she would, but also, is it something that they're willing to do? They currently do not have the cap space and would need to get a hardship exception. But, would the Las Vegas Aces be a good place for DB to land?
Maybe. This is a Vegas team that I think for several seasons, and I've talked about this on the show before, is not a team that has always had a lot of bench depth. If you look at who is a top team in the league right now and is right now in the number 2 spot, it's the Golden State Valkyries, that they outpace by at least 10 points per game the amount of points that are coming from reserve players, from bench players. And so DeWanna Bonner, I would imagine, would be playing a role position and not a starting position, perhaps, in Vegas. And is that maybe where you can alleviate some of the pressure or the hard minutes that you have to put on a player, particularly like A'ja Wilson? Is that something good? I think perimeter defending is something that she can give. She can give you about 10 points per game. So another player, again, that likely off of the bench is giving you at least, 10 points, double-digit scoring. I could see it. I think also the Aces seem to have a culture that's very inviting from what we can tell, and it's a priority certainly for A'ja Wilson, and we've talked about the cakes and all of these things. And I think that that could work. I think it's just a matter of, again, is that the role on that particular team that DeWanna Bonner would want to play? So yeah, I think there are some other teams that are younger, especially when it comes to, as I like to say, hard minutes in the postseason, perhaps make some sense, like an Atlanta Dream, like a New York Liberty, and like the Dallas Wings. Now, for me, with New York, perimeter defending, they did get Leonie Fiebig back, so that's a good thing. And I think that I still have a lot of question marks on how well that team can defend. Atlanta, I think they fluctuate a lot on if they're going to be proficient outside shooters. Are they going to be proficient defensive and a defensive-minded team? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is like, maybe not. So again, is that somewhere that DeWanna Bonner can fit? And then with Dallas, you've got AZ Fudd out. Shepard is a solid two-way player who was in like early MVP conversations, right? That stalled out a little, I think, because of more so on the defensive side. And Jessica Shepard, comparative to some other players, what are you getting from a rim protection perspective? That being said, with Fudd out of the starting lineup, Awakuir had a phenomenal game the other night.
I'm continually impressed.
Right. And so while I could see having a veteran leader being extremely helpful for both Dallas and Atlanta, I think honestly the fit might be better in Atlanta than in Dallas because of the actual X's and O's and what you would want from the basketball perspective. In New York, I wonder about culture and fit there. She's a very vocal and sandpapery kind of leader, and I kind of like that. I don't know if that's what New York is going to want to do, though, because they've had so much trouble, Alicia, trying to figure out their own chemistry already.
Yeah, they certainly have. And when I look at this list and when I just think about, we're talking about what the teams need, it really does come down to what DB wants to do.
Yep.
she's such an amazing player, the caliber of player that she is. What role does she want? I think that is the main thing. We can talk about teams and what they need all day, but where does she want to participate? And I don't blame her for going to a place where she thinks, yeah, I could get a championship here for sure. That might be her top thing. Or it just could be that she wants to make an impact on her way out. I don't know what it is, but I think that's certainly going to be the key. But I will say in this instance, Phoenix got it right to be able to give her the opportunity to do so. And that I do like. We do not see moves like that very often.
No.
And so, that's certainly something that the team got right. And there are some other teams that are in playoff contention that are getting it right. They're clicking at the right time. And we wanted to talk about that too, because we've been seeing it, in front of our eyes, like the game last night between the Valkyries and the Lynx. We saw the Valkyries, they're clicking. They're clicking for sure. But let's start off with the Atlanta Dream. 7-3 in the last 10 games. The team has jumped into the 4th slot in the standings. And let me just tell you, Angel Reese specifically is just having historic night after historic night after historic night. Most recently, 26 rebounds in one game, the most in WNBA history. And, when I look at this team and what they're doing, we know how they ended the season last year. Definitely don't want to repeat of that this year, but I feel like they're certainly clicking at the right time.
I would agree. Atlanta had a stretch where they just were not getting their shots to fall. And a lot of people wondered, is this a team that can make a playoff run? Look at what is happening or isn't happening as far as shots falling. I remember Carl Semesco and the players just saying in media availabilities that we have to stay the course, trust the process, all of those things that you kind of hear. And they started getting things together again, have been hit with the injury bug. Unfortunately, Bree Jones did make a return and then goes back out. So the fact that I think what I like about Atlanta and them being able to get back to a winning record in their last 10 games is that you're seeing them work through versatility, very internal versatility, and come out on the other side, which is something that we said Angel Reese has talked about. She said, listen, I've been a part of losing streaks. I am learning in Atlanta how to work out of that, successfully work out of long stretches and to continue to have that confidence. And I think you see it in her game.
You definitely see it in her game. And we talked about this, like you said, many times. And this is the time we want it to click in. And it seems to be doing that for the Dream.
Yep.
And we love to see it. Another team is the Indiana Fever. 6-4 in their last 10 with a dominant win over Chicago, currently 5th in the standings overall. And when you want to talk about history, Kelsey Mitchell continues to have game after game after game, just showing us how great she is. We've known it, but it's like, you cannot deny it when you see her doing this game after game. In the last game too, Lexi Hull had 14 points, Michaela Timpson, 12 points, and then Caitlin Clark has definitely just been pulling in the numbers, hit a career high, 8 3-pointers in the 113-90 win over Chicago, was her 5th 30-point 10-assist game in WNBA history, most in WNBA history by far. So you look at the duo of Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. You look at the depth that they're having with the players who are scoring in double digits. Mm-hmm. I feel like their chemistry has been going really well as well. It's just kind of like popping in every interview that we're seeing, the way that they're talking about each other, the way that they're playing. I think this is a team that we can say is definitely clicking at the right time.
I would say so. I think that we're seeing the Indiana Fever be a little more steady, especially they know that they are a scoring team, and that is what they're putting their energy behind. And most teams are not able to keep them below 100 points. And I think that there are still a few things that they want to iron out. The 6-4 is still a winning record, and you saw that the New York Liberty were able to, catch up with them, and that was a big win for New York. And that's kind of what I called on HQ. I was like, hey, this is a big statement win for the New York Liberty if they can get it, and they did. So a little bit of a setback there, and Indiana has done their work so that game again, it could be more of a must-win for New York, and not the Fever were not in that same situation. So I like that, and them being able to manage that as well. I think the question becomes, how long can you get these master performances from Mitchell and Clark on the court together? Because this is a lot. I mean, Kelsey Mitchell in particular continues to rack up 20-plus point games. Is that too much wear and tear? Because we've seen her motor is super strong, almost got him to a finals last year. And the reason perhaps it didn't is because that motor stalled out in a massive way.
She literally left it all out on the court.
Yeah. And so I have been noticing, it seems like Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark have been getting rest, and that it's been a part of the process, and now working them back to full games. Aaliyah Boston has not played a back-to-back this season, just managing those injuries. We haven't necessarily seen that for Kelly Mitchell. There is going to be a FIBA break. Mitchell will not be with Team USA, so that's an opportunity. Clark will, though. So I think just keeping an eye on how this team does on the other side of the FIBA break. I loved what they did on the other side of All-Star, and need to see more of it because other teams are starting to jockey for position, like the Valkyries. I mean, is another team. The Aces are right there.
Yeah, the Aces are right there, 6-4 in the last 10 games, currently third in the WNBA. And for me, what I see the most about the Aces, and they always seem to find this during the season, is the chemistry. It's always on 1,000. It's like, you want to be on that team because you just see the way that they're interacting with each other. And Moneymoto specifically is who my Yamamoto is her name, but everyone's calling her Moneymoto. I wanted to play this clip because I think it embodies that chemistry that they all have, that I feel is it's not the reason why they're always in championships and always, progress in ways that just blow our mind, but it's certainly one of the things that is the glue for the Las Vegas Aces. So wanted to play this clip because it is hilarious. I love it.
Team, yeah, that's it. Yes. And also, you have showed us that you have the ability to do a little bit of everything, not just shoot the basketball. You were getting to the rim, setting up teammates. As a smaller player, what has allowed you to play so big in these moments?
I'm small, so if they get in that paint, I can defense. That's all. I have to pick a high pickup point and kick it. Yeah.
That's something that Becky Hammond loves about you, is your tenacious defense. But one thing about it, when you shoot the basketball, this entire arena stands up and they imitate your shot follow through. How does it feel to be embraced by Aces fans and these wonderful teammates?
I love the reaction, so yeah.
Outstanding. And that's what we love to do for our outstanding game, and we're excited to see more of it down the stretch. Great job today.
Thank you so much.
How about that, Krista, Carolyn?
I mean, come on. How do you not love this? Number one, they have her back in all ways.
100%.
And they're, there for this interview that she's having. I don't know if that was her first one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's one of the first ones that she's having. And they're like, you know what? We about to surround her and make sure she's good with this.
Yeah, 100%. We know, hearing from international players, that while a lot of them can obviously speak and understand English, it's not one of their first languages.
Absolutely.
Out of multiple that usually they speak. And we can see that as English first speakers, doing interviews on television can be nerve-wracking. And so there's that part of it. And I love, though, that the Aces teams were there, and I love that Mai was game to this, because I love that we're hearing more from international players. I can say, there are times where people I have noticed can be hesitant to have someone who has a noticeable accent on camera, and they're a part of the game. Mai Yamamoto, and there was a clip that I saw going around of her organizing the offense for the Aces. And she has the confidence and the basketball IQ to organize people like Jackie Young, Melissa Smith, who unfortunately has gone down with an injury, Asia Wilson, I mean, that a game recognized game, right?
Right.
And so to have that person be able to speak to the win, I think is huge. And so yes, the support of the teammates, having their teammates back in something that's maybe a little uncomfortable or nerve-wracking, because Moneymoto has their back on the court.
Right. And I think it also just speaks to that overall just team camaraderie that they have at the Aces that is unmatched, truly. And I feel like, obviously, you have Asia Wilson on the team. You have so many amazing players. I'm not belittling that at all. But I think the importance of that chemistry, you literally can't put any more exclamations on it because it is so important. So certainly a team that we love to see clicking on all cylinders right now. And we know that these aren't the only teams, and we want to make sure that in the comments you put your case for what team you think is clicking at the right time below as well, because as always, you're part of this conversation. So make sure you jump in and put that comment in so we can talk about it. And while you're doing that, we're going to go to a little break and we'll see you after.
Big Ten on CBS brings us East and West. Here's what we've been waiting for, partner. Roll to the corner, and it's a touchdown.
That's a big-time play.
When everything comes together, CBS Sports brings you Big Time, Saturdays on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
Well, listen, I don't know about you, E, but all of this conversation about clicking at the right time has me thinking about the playoffs. I'm so excited. You know, they're right around the corner. We do have a FIBA break, but they are right around the corner, literally. And, you know, last night I felt like we got a little preview, too, with the Lynx and the Valkyries facing each other. Now, this is the 10th time that they've played, and this is the first time that the Valkyries have got a win, and they won in a huge fashion, 80-66, okay? And we're going to have a lot to say about this game, and I'm sure you do, too. So drop those comments, but I really just wanted to hear what Cheryl Reeve had to say, because we always looking to see what she says in the press.
I thought, in particular, offensively, we were different. Golden State's a good defensive team. They started, experimenting with some zone, against Chicago. We thought for sure we'd see it, and we did. But even prior to the zone, I didn't think our advantages that we had the last game, and it's tend to what happens is when you got last game, maybe it gets harder to get. But I didn't even think it was a case of, we had some matchups that we liked in the paint, and we just didn't get it done when we had those opportunities. And they do a good job, Golden State does, protecting the paint, and we put it down there, and there's some physicality that they play with that we just didn't respond well to, and we needed to have a greater physical presence about us and convert some catches down there. And then obviously the shot making wasn't there for us. We needed some of that, and defensively, we weren't special in any way. So just one of those games that we really weren't that good in anything. We weren't terrible, but not good enough to be a good team.
You mentioned that last.
Well, one thing about Cheryl, she always gonna keep it real, okay? We were not special is something that stands out to me. And I will admit, this is not the Lynx team that we've been seeing all season. I mean, you could even talk about Olivia Miles, which we'll get into a little bit later, 8 points on 3 of 12 shooting, which it's hard to say this for a rookie. It's like, that's uncharacteristic of her as a player. So I'm not trying to put all this pressure on Olivia, but it has been based on the season that she has had. They were without Courtney Williams too, which is a very important point. I think it underscores how important Courtney is to this team. But when you look at this game, the score, I want to say, the turnovers, they turned the ball over 17 times. Cheryl said it. She said what she said, and she wasn't wrong. But what does this mean for them coming down the stretch?
We got to get better. And I like that Cheryl Reeve is taking this as an opportunity. I think there's frustration there, and she's not, at least in that public moment, making it bigger than it needs to be for her team. And I think that's important because we know Cheryl Reeve can go off. I mean, she don't do it as much, but she's notorious for throwing blazers, wearing blazers and throwing blazers.
Throwing them.
And I was like, okay, is this a throw a blazer kind of situation? And I think perspective is important. They've clinched. They're getting relatively healthy. Having Williams out is difficult. And there's time to use this as fuel for what they want to be doing in the postseason. This is not a time where they're necessarily, jockeying for, could have clinched first overall, I guess, was on the line. So is that disappointing? Perhaps it is. And I think also, Cheryl Reeve, and like you said, we'll get to Olivia Miles, but we've talked about this either on the show, on We Need to Talk Now. I've talked about it on CBS Sports HQ. Having a rookie learn these things when the stakes are lower, knowing that they're about to get the highest they've ever been for Olivia Miles in just a few weeks, you have to take this as an opportunity. And I saw Cheryl's leadership and how she's talking about this, that she's willing to do that. And it's not about beating up her players right now. It's about her and her coaching staff getting the film, going over it, and being prepared so that they know what buttons to press for the next time.
Yeah, for the next time. And we've talked about, I can't remember the exact game with the Aces last year, but it was a huge wake-up call for them. And you saw what happened, right? They got the chip. And, there's so many amazing teams that, as we said, are firing on all cylinders right now.
Minnesota. Aces Minnesota.
Okay, well,
there you go.
So I think that a loss like this could be the best thing for Minnesota in the long run. Yeah, they did not clinch number 1 overall, which you want to do that, obviously. But, when you have had the season that they've had, you don't want to become complacent. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that they were doing that, but I think this ensures that you don't.
Right. And that's what the Aces have talked about, even in their championship run, like you mentioned last year. We've heard them talk about that before. We also know Minnesota went in knowing that this is a Golden State team that they beat recently. I think also Golden State knew that they haven't won against Minnesota in the very short history that they've existed. But they also probably knew, Alicia, that prior to last night, the Golden State Valkyries have been the team to hold the Minnesota Lynx to their lowest scoring. So in a Golden State loss, they held Minnesota to 77 points, which was a low for the Minnesota Lynx. And so then they hold them to now what is their season low of 66. And it's the Valkyries twice. But now you have a barometer if you're Golden State, right? Now you have a barometer of what it takes to really suppress the offense. Perhaps, again, no Courtney Williams. Have to put that out there. But now you have a little bit of a blueprint. It's not going to be exactly the same, but that's what both of these teams actually have in their recent memory. They know what it feels like to win against the opponent they just played. They know what it feels like to lose against that opponent. And how is that going to play out? Because at least right now, if things stand in the way the standings are in the league, these are teams that would not meet until much later in the postseason. And
Absolutely.
By much later, I'm talking about not the 3-game series, not the 5-game series, but now what is a 7-game series. If we get this again, that's what we could be talking about.
Absolutely. And I don't want to lessen what the Valkyries did. Mm-mm. We know that this was an uncharacteristic game for the Lynx, but the Valkyries converted 21 points off of the turnovers that happened in that game. They played amazing defense. They held Olivia Miles to, I want to say, her lowest points in the season. I might be incorrect about it. It's one of the lowest for Olivia Miles. And so, they also held Fee to 9 points. Okay.
Right. And, you look at McBride had 12, I believe, in that game, but she's averaging 18. Also, Natasha Howard averaging 15 and held to 13. So she was closer to her average. But the fact that no Williams, you hold Fee, you hold Miles, and McBride and Howard are also below their season averages. Again, you're looking at that as Golden State, and that is huge for a team that built their foundation on defense.
Right. And a lot of the teams that we've been talking about that need depth, the Golden State showed us how deep they were last night and have been,
right,
because 5 players were in double figures. Xana Lacini had 18 points. Veronica Burton added 14 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, and 5 steals. I mean, they're just showing us that they have all the tools in the toolkit. Okay,
come on, depth and defense. That's what both Minnesota and Golden State have. And look at that. They're the top 2 teams in the standings.
Right. And so, I mean, a lot of people are saying that was a preview of what we're about to see in the final. And I'm not saying that I disagree. But both of them know what they need to work on. Mm-hmm. And one of them, I would say Golden State, knows that they have a blueprint. And so it's going to be real interesting.
Great coaching.
Yes. Great coaching on both sides. Are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. And when you have great coaches head to head, a lot of people call it a chess game. And I love that Natalie Nakase, her response post-game was, and I think I just really have enjoyed seeing Natalie Nakase as a head coach.
Amazing.
She pays reverence. She has respect for Cheryl Reeve. And she also creates separation in saying that, listen, I'm paraphrasing, by the way. This is not her direct quote. Although if she said that, I'd be cool with it. She's like, listen, I love that I'm being lumped in here, and like, she earned that respect, okay? I'm still learning. And that's what she said multiple times,
yes,
right? She's talking about what she's learning from this opportunity. And I think that's beautiful, and also teaches her players how to take that on as well.
Yeah, she said specifically, I'm still new to this game. And so in no way do I want to compare myself, but I want to continue to learn. You know, Cheryl has multiple championships under her belt. I think she's the winningest coach in the league. So why would I try to even compare? I want to continue to learn.
Yeah, and do it her way. Like, again, remixing it. I'm also here. She says, I'm going to do it my way. And I love that.
I love it too. I memean, we're really watching just greatness on all levels.
It's
player,
amazing.
coaching. I mean, the way the teams have been constructed over the years, just really just beautiful to watch. I did want to hit just a little bit on Olivia Miles because she had something that I thought was very poignant to say about her as well.
Yes.
Playing a zone on.
Yes. It was very, I want games like this for Liv as a rookie. We need games like this so that there's learning that happens. There's, disappointment maybe that she's feeling for sure. She needs that. We need that. And so that's the kind of stuff that makes us a better team. And I'm quite confident that, the next time that we're in a hard situation, what we went through tonight will be really valuable to her and to our team.
This is why it feels like it is almost ordained for Olivia to be in this team, because not only did they need her, right? She fit in seamlessly. She's just an amazing, Magic Miles player. But then you also have a coach in Cheryl Reeve that is going to show you how a night like that is even more important than all of the nights that you've had this season.
Right. And I feel like Renee Montgomery recently talked about playing for Cheryl Reeve. She played in Minnesota, won a championship in Minnesota. And the expectations every day are high when you are on a Cheryl Reeve team. And I think from what I've seen and even heard in that clip, what is also true is that the breakdown of how then to get better is happening in real time and in film and in practice. So it's not just do better and storm off. It's do better, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to set you up on how to do better. And so to have a mind, a basketball mind, and the way Olivia Miles works, and I've said this, she was great at Notre Dame, then has to learn an entire new offense and has to know it in and out, left and right, up and down, because she has to run point on the new offense. And to have TCU have the success that they did, that to me speaks to how well Olivia Miles can take information, synthesize it, own it, and then execute. And that's going to be huge for Minnesota. And again, not beating up on her rookie. No need to do that because she knows Olivia's probably doing it herself.
Yeah.
It's about getting her through that so that they can get to the next phase, the next level up. All right, let's go. We got to level up.
Got to level up in all ways. And I think it's safe to say that even with the night that she had, that she, we can guarantee that she will be the Rookie of the Year. And that leads us to some guarantees of our own in this week's Guarantee of the Week, presented by AT&T, America's Best Guarantee. Now, I had to lean in to read this one because there's a lot of logistics with this Guarantee of the Week. And, we've been talking about the playoffs being around the corner, and it's really just a matter of time before we crown. I can't even believe we're at this point in the season already.
It's wild.
But it's just a matter of time before we crown the WNBA's champion for this season. But it got us thinking, who is going to be the first to 5 championships in the WNBA? Who can we guarantee that will do that, Erica?
Well, given all that we've talked about, you have to say that Minnesota is the front runner, right? Minnesota dang near already did this in 2024.
Almost.
But it was the other history of New York getting its first championship that would come to pass. But it was close.
It was close.
It was nail-bitingly
See how
close.
she threw New York in there again, you guys? I'm just saying.
I mean, hey, but was I wrong or am I strong for my city?
Wrong or strong?
Hey,
okay.
hey.
Trademark it. Trademark it.
Am I wrong or am I strong for my city? Come on now. Hey, okay. Listen, no, you have to think it's Minnesota. And if 2024 taught us anything, we go back to, I know Jonquel Jones got into some hot water over some comments, but what she was trying to say is you might think you know, but you have no idea.
Well, that was a way to sum it all up.
Okay, you might think you know, but you have no idea. And that's because of this competition, right? 2019, best team in the regular season, Connecticut Sun. They lose to a scrappy Washington Mystics squad. 2024, who was stopping Minnesota? And then it went to imagine if that was a 7-game series. Ooh,
man,
baby. I would have loved to see it.
It's
I would have loved to
series that
see
we could talk about. That should maybe be something in the future we talk about. Yeah.
Come on. So you got to think it's Minnesota, right? They're quite literally sitting on the cusp. Now, other teams we have to talk about, I should say the other teams that are even a part of this conversation. The Seattle Storm, I'm sorry, Alicia, but we know that.
Why are you bringing up old stuff, E? Why are you bringing up old stuff?
How do I bring up old stuff?
I still love you, though, Storm. Still love you.
Hey, and future's looking bright. So they might not get first, but I think within the next 5-7 years, you could say, yeah, they could get another title and maybe more. Then you have, of course, the Aces. Now, the Fast and Furious, you can never count out Las Vegas. That's what we learned last year.
Never.
Because what was it? 16 consecutive wins, including into the postseason to go get another title out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
They had that game and then it started.
And then it was like, we gotta, you're not putting my little auntie, come on now. And then, see, now this is where the asterisk comes in.
Well, I was going to ask you because I know
how
you feel about the comments.
You know how I feel.
And if you haven't heard how she feels, go back to the episode. We will have Emma put it.
It was our holiday episode because we both had our antlers on.
Okay, well, that is a good marker because we both did have antlers on. So we'll have Emma put that down. Our producer put that down in the description box. However, if you look at Houston, who's coming back next year, let's set the comments part aside. Okay. But if you look at Houston, technically, if they won last year, or if they win next year as a expansion franchise, would you count first 4 as being under? Because technically, yes.
Is it technically yes or is it technically no?
They're the comments.
See, I don't. So, I don't know. I don't know about this, y'all. And so, first of all, don't y'all be coming at me talking about I don't know sports. This is not one of those situations. This is one of them situations that's just a little funky. You know what I'm saying? Now, for me personally, this is why I was like, maybe you don't name them the comments because now they've inherited from Connecticut, and that Connecticut's not even the origin story. You know what I'm saying?
That is
There's
a good point.
Other history there. So it's not like Miami, right? It was the Miami Soul, I think.
Miami Soul.
It's not the Miami Soul that won 4 titles. You see what I'm saying? So
do they start off at 0?
I don't know. Like, I would be okay if they started at 0. I could understand why people would be mad, but that's why I told you not to name them the Comets. You see, because now it's getting funky. No. So if they win next year, and Minnesota doesn't, and Seattle, we know they're not going to. And even if Vegas wins this year, that would get them to 4. That wouldn't get them to 5 yet. So if Houston wins next year, do they then become? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm leaning towards no.
But then
because they're the origin of Miami, not the origin of the original Comets. So how do you get to collect those Infinity Stones? You didn't even do the work. You see what I'm saying?
Well, what do y'all think? Because we're clearly not going to get to the bottom of it in this episode, because that is a lot to ponder. It's a lot to ponder because technically, if they started off at the Soul, that's what should be carried over, right? But then you think about, okay, then they stopped at Connecticut and they did it. So what do we do? What do we do? Right?
You could have eliminated this, y'all. Just go back with me with the antlers. Right. Look at me with the antlers, because I done already said we ain't got time for me to get up all into it right now, because you know I want to, but I'm editing myself in real time. Look at me, growth.
Listen, growth. I appreciate the growth. I appreciate it. Well, listen, drop your comments. What do we even classify Houston as when it comes to championships?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
This is something I feel like this is about to blow up, because I don't even know.
Y'all tell me, because I genuinely don't know. Because if it were me, we wouldn't be here. So, if it were me, we wouldn't be here right now.
So the guarantee of the week is we don't know, child.
Well, the guarantee is that Minnesota is the closest. The guarantee is also, I guarantee you, I promise you, I don't know what's going on in Houston. If Minnesota don't get it done, matter of fact, Minnesota just go on and win, so that the guarantee is the guarantee, and we ain't got to worry about the rest. We ain't got to worry. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Yeah. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Then it will be Minnesota, and that's the way it goes.
Yes.
Listen, I can't wait to read this comment section. Well, speaking of comments, we have some comments about some other sports. We love women's basketball, obviously, on the podcast, and we talk about it. But there are other sports that definitely should be highlighted when it comes to women's sports. And let's talk about lacrosse, okay? Ooh. The Women's Lacrosse League, the Maryland Charm, won the inaugural Women's Lacrosse League championship with a 16-13 victory over the California Palms.
Let's go.
Oh, over the Cali team. It's fine. I'm all right. I'm all right, but
she actually had to put Cali in there, right?
Okay, all right.
Wrong or strong?
We strong. We strong in the building. And someone else that is strong is Sydney Black. She took home MVP honors with 4 goals and 1 assist, and she was on the We Need to Talk broadcast show recently. And there was something that she had to say that I wanted to share here. After her historic performance and win, she talked about the importance of representation in lacrosse. And here's what she had to say.
Talk to something else that's near and dear to your heart. Only 3% of NCAA women's lacrosse players are Black. And so I know for you, you've talked a lot about how you can't be it if you can't see it. You've been heavily involved in your community. How much of an impact have you made there, Sydney?
It's just so important to me to give back. I want to be that inspiration for the next level and the next generation to come after me, boys, girls, what have you, any race, any ethnicity, anything like that. I do believe you can't be what you can't see. And hopefully us being on that stage this past weekend, someone turned the TV on and said, hey, there's a Black girl up there. She's doing her thing. I want to go after whatever it is I want to be the best at, whatever I believe in, even if it's not athletics. But representation is so important. And to be able to do that in my home state of Maryland and in Baltimore City specifically has just filled my heart so much. And it's something I'm going to keep striving to do to be a better person as well.
Come on, Sydney. Come on. Representation, being a better person. That's literally all we can ask for at this point in time. But super proud of, the Maryland Charm for winning that inaugural championship, and super proud of Sydney Black for bringing home that MVP those MVP honors rather, with her play. Now, I know there's some PWHL news that we need to get into, Erica.
Yeah, and this actually extends beyond just the PWHL. We know that Mark Walter has recently, as of 10 months ago, acquired the majority stake of the LA Lakers and now has sold it. And that's because of some ongoing investigations. There's a federal probe. And for those who don't know, Mark Walter is also the primary owner and the sole owner, really, of the PWHL Professional Women's Hockey League. And so just trying to get a handle on how the investigation, if at all, will impact the PWHL. We've been told that it won't have an impact on the Sparks, which he's also been involved in, just as an example. But so we heard from Stan Kasten, who is a member of the PWHL advisory board, and this is what he had to say. This is what we were able to get directly. So Stan Kasten saying, we will continue to operate with the same long-term outlook and commitment to building a sustainable league that we had when we launched. This is such a thrilling time to be part of the PWHL, or more importantly, to be a fan. We remain a startup, but we never thought we'd be at 12 teams after just 3 seasons. The future of the league is bright, and our ownership is incredibly proud of both the progress we've made so far as well as our future. So what we continue to hear from the PWHL, whether it's the statement that we got or that we got and that I read or that we've seen elsewhere, is that they are expecting ownership will remain the same. The question that I specifically asked is, are they still on track with their 10-year business plan, which they had launched with? So that's what we heard, not specifics. And I'm not sure that I really expected the PWHL to give specifics, although I think it is understandable to ask these questions, not just of the PWHL, but we know that this is an ongoing conversation throughout sports, just because we don't know how it's going to impact some of these sports leagues where Mark Walter is specifically a majority, or in the case of the PWHL, a sole owner, and he's already been making some moves to offload some of his sports properties. So we got to see what happens there.
Yeah, and we'll definitely keep tabs on it. That's what we do here at We Need to Talk Now. And make sure that you keep tabs with us by connecting on all levels. Subscribe, like, comment, do all the things so we can continue to bring PWHL news and whatever it may be right to, your YouTube, wherever you locked in with us, that's where we go.
Audio listeners too, we love y'all.
We absolutely do. And, thanks for spending this time with us. It's always so special. We're here coming at you from our studios in Fort Lauderdale, really excited for what's to come. And we're always excited to be back with you. And we'll actually be back again on Thursday on CBS Sports Network at 1 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you're there, because we're going to be there. So we can all be there. But until next time, this is We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.